right now we're just really struggling. The month just didn't start right. We were supposed to harvest the olives. They were perfectly ripe, but the oil mill wasn't open yet, and the bad weather came, and it was just storm after storm, and we just didn't get a break, basically. And the olives started rotting on the trees, which just wasn't the best start to a harvest.
Yeah. Around that time we were also doing chestnuts, and we were kind of, in a way, we kind of hit the ground running. On one day we got quite a nice harvest, filled up this basket, and as we were processing them, our toddler had every parent's worst nightmare, a choking incident. And that was the most stressful day.
The worst day.
Yeah, at that point, the worst day here for us, in our lives maybe.
Yeah.
And he went to hospital. The ambulance drove all the way out here, and they were great. They were here in 15 minutes, and they took us to the hospital. He was there overnight.
The medical staff were great. They really did everything, and he's happy and healthy now, like no lasting damage. But yeah, those were 2 really, really stressful days with quite a lot of tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so those 2 days were kind of days that we lost. And then when we finally got a break in the rain, we were already kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed with the amount of things that we needed to do.
During that time, all these regular jobs that we normally focus on stopped. The chestnut harvest stopped. All the chores stopped as well. We had neighbors feeding the animals, and that started a process that really just put us behind.
Like a snowball. That was the beginning where the snowball started rolling on the mountain.
Yeah.
Then we had 4 dry days with sun, which was then the moment that we just really needed to harvest the olives. You can harvest the olives in the rain, but they really soak up the water, and then they don't give as much oil. So we decided to wait for these dry days, and that was the moment we started getting sick. It's day 2 of the olive harvest, and I just wanted to show you the tools that we're using. We have clippers and a handsaw, the big clippers obviously. And for harvesting we have these 2 little hand rakes. One of them we have on a little pole now to easily get up into the trees. And you can get machines to do that. They're about €500, and because this is our first harvest, we didn't want to splurge on such a huge
expense
without knowing how much we're going. And we only have about 13 trees, and some of them aren't even fruiting this year, or not fruiting well. Yeah, we have a few more trees down in the valley on the terraces, but because they're not exposed to the sun as much, because we haven't gotten round to taking care of the forest down there yet, they haven't been fruiting or growing very well. That's a project for the future years. When we go between trees and clip them, we have this rubbing alcohol here to sterilize all the tools. We dip them in for about 30 seconds. We dip them in for about 30 seconds and then use a lighter to burn off the rest of the alcohol.
Get it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, alles gut. Okay, here you can see the problems that we've been having with the olive fly. It's a bit of a struggle. Like most of our trees have punctured olives and they're rotting really, really fast. This one seems fine, but this one is just not usable. So that's kind of the reason why we're hand sorting through all these olives, because we don't want to have moldy olives in the pot. It needs to store for a few days while we harvest, and any moldy olive could really just wreak havoc on all of our work. So it takes a lot longer hand sorting these, and probably Portuguese people would look at us as if we're complete idiots. But we try to have these really high standards.
No, I'm gonna guess 20 actually.
I'm gonna say 25.
Okay, I'll get the scale. Okay, let's see what we got. That comes out to 21 kilograms. So this is day 3 of the olive harvest, and Jackie and the baby are both sick. I might get sick soon as well, but we can make the most of this time while we still have it. First 2 days we were harvesting olives for oil, and we've done that now. We took 21 kilograms of oil to the mill yesterday, and we'll pick up the oil on Monday, see how many liters that brings for us. And it's not been the best year for olives, and in addition to that, most of our trees are wildly overgrown, so they're not really fruiting much anyway. So we're giving almost all of them a really hard prune this year. And now for the last day, we're focusing on just these trees near the house, and we're not going to be making oil from these olives. We're just picking the absolute best ones, and we'll be brining them for eating olives. And maybe we can stretch them out for the rest of the year, just for snacks, kind of like a novelty. As each year goes by, we'll scale up almost everything we do. This particular tree is pretty badly situated. It's grown on a slope, so when we put the mats down to collect the olives that would fall, it's going to be kind of difficult to stop them from just rolling off the hill altogether. And it's also, like the others, kind of overgrown as well. It's going to need a lot of pruning. The whole top of the tree will just get cut off. Any branch that faces upwards will be cut off. We'll favor the branches that droop downwards, and that'll make it easier to harvest in the future, and maybe it won't be so problematic then. The same goes for the other 2 trees here. And in a moment, Jackie's going to climb up this ladder and start the pruning. As she throws the branches down, I'll be just picking the olives directly from them, the good ones, putting them in the tub. Later we'll sort through them all. And then pick which ones get brined. So I think it's time to get started. Backside of it, just a warning.
this is the result of the first day of collecting for brining. It's not much, but these ones are really hand-picked. There's no blemishes on any of them. And now we're gonna use, I don't know if you can see it. Now we're gonna use one of these. It fits perfectly into 5-litre bottles, and you press the olive through to slice it up to get ready for leaching them. Our 2 young sows have been with us for about 2 weeks now, and they've already done a great job up in the garden space, clearing some land for us and just turning everything over, getting rid of some bracken. We'll see if it comes back. And now we moved them down here into the forest to be able to train them on these terraces. When they first arrived, they were really skittish and afraid of us, so we took our time now to get them used to us. First it was just with food. Now we can finally pat them and they won't run away always. But basically, to be able to go up and down these terraces, we need them to trust us completely. Now, pigs can't really climb stairs per se. Going up is easier than going down because their center of mass is completely different to the center of mass in human. Theirs is way more towards the head, so going down is really, really scary for them, and we don't want to force that on them by any means. Most of our terraces have little ramps between them, so they won't have to climb stairs per se, but they need to trust us enough to follow us down these ramps and up again as well. So that's what we're kind of working on right now. Just we let them out of the enclosure whenever we have time to herd them for a bit, and yeah, just walk them over the terraces, walk them back and forth, make them follow us. And eventually they'll be ready to move to the other side of our property where we have intense bracken and bramble overgrowth that they will need to clear for us. But we can't do that until we feel like they're ready and they can follow us there as well, because it will go up and down a bit, and that's important to us, that they don't feel pressured and then even get nervous or start to mistrust us.
Yeah, good girl.
Yeah, that from that point on, a period. It feels like weeks.
It was 3 weeks now.
Has it been 3
Yeah,
weeks?
3 weeks of just
Yeah,
illness.
it has been. Yeah, for 3 weeks. There's just this family has been sick. It started out with the toddler. Either he picked up something in the hospital, and that hospital was like a nightmare, all the coughing children.
Just germs everywhere.
Yes. So, you know, after about a week and a half, no, 2 weeks, he kind of was recovered. But at that point, we started showing symptoms of throat infections.
Yeah. On the 3rd day of the olive harvest, I was starting to feel really ill, with a throat infection and just, yeah, like a normal cold basically.
I went down hard and fast, and I got what, after a few days, I started to suspect was tonsillitis, and was tonsillitis, and the worst fever that I've had in years, and completely unable to be productive. And yeah, that was bad, and that just added on to all this other stuff that just kind of prevented us from keeping on top of things here, you know. So during that time, we've just we keep the animals fed, try and do right by them, but all the chores and jobs have just kind of stopped. Yeah, but we're both in recovery now, and the toddler, he's doing all right as well. I think he's pretty much out of it.
Yeah, and we got help now as well. Zach's family is here, and they cook for us, and they do our dishes, which is like major weight lifted off our shoulders.
They arrived here when I was really sick. So yeah, we both had tonsillitis.
Yeah, I thought it was healthy, but then Zach just bounced it back to me.
Yeah, it's like playing tennis, tonsil tennis. And yeah, so In the video where we prepare for winter, we cut our lot of firewood. We were expecting about 2 weeks of rain, and we got 11 days without stop. And the firewood, the first half of it, which we had all stored up completely dry, got us through that. But then the second half that we put under a tarp that wasn't quite watertight, that got wet, and we had a few days of sun. We tried to dry it out, but it never really got fully dry, so we weren't able to make these big roaring fires in the new range. And
everything is just damp, everything is wet, the laundry is not dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we didn't know that the tarp wasn't waterproof. But yeah, after like a week of rain, when you picked up the wood, it would just drip. Like, it was just soaked. So when we use it now, you can't get hot fires, and we have to buy firewood now, which really sucks. During this intense illness that Zach had, the second worst day of probably my life, I don't even know, it happened. Yeah, basically Zach was really sick, and we for some reason decided that the pigs need to have like at least an extended run, or like need to be moved basically. And I thought I could do it by myself, which was the first mistake. Those pigs, like, they're used to us, but once they get a bit too used to like just roaming around the terraces and like searching for their acorns, they're really hard to herd anywhere. So I set up a new enclosure, and it was just uneven ground. I wasn't experienced enough, and there were basically a bunch of points where they just escaped.
I kind of just want to give up. This is taking so much longer than I thought it would. I'm completely exhausted. I kind of just want to lie down in bed again and just rest, but I need to get this done now because these pigs need to have a home. Farm life for you. Another day wasted on just setting up pig fencing.
And after the fourth time that they escaped, and Zach actually had to help me like herd them back and like catch them again, really sick, like he was almost fainting. After that fourth time, they were already so like skittish and panicked.
Pigs are back in. The fence is not perfect yet, but that was a shit show. Zach had to help me get them back because it takes like 2 people to herd them down the hill. Farm life.
Then they escaped a 5th time, and I kind of lost the will to live in a way.
And then I think I can move the shelter in, because if they're not escaped yet, I only see one. Oh no! Shit, I lost a pig. I lost a fucking pig.
I set up a really just small enclosure that was 100% pig-proofed though, and then I went on the hunt.
What are you guys doing out here? Yeah, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? They went up the hill, those bastards.
They had actually escaped through the village, went all the way up to the mountain. I had to get the e-bike out and chase after them. Not feeling well myself either at that point. And this 5th escape just it left the pigs too panicked, actually.
Okay. 3 stretch fries later, the pigs are in a fence that I completely built within half an hour. Pretty small. I need to take care of that tomorrow and just move them and build a better enclosure. It was pouring down at one point while I built the fence. I'm just completely done. One of the pigs actually, she hurt her leg because we had to herd them down, and they were so panicked at that point after they escaped I think 4 times. This day is just terrible. It's just gone completely wrong. Took me 4 hours to build a single pig enclosure. Yeah, I just want to sleep now. Yeah, basically all the panic and us being really stressed, it just led to one of the pigs getting hurt.
Higgy, yeah, the pink pig, she stumbled and she hurt her leg a little bit, the left leg on the back, and yeah, she doesn't look very comfortable, so we're going to get the vet to come and have a look at that and sort out their vaccinations and everything.
It's not good knowing that, like, basically everything, like looking back, everything I did that led up to one of our animals getting hurt, it's just, you feel really, really terrible basically, because yeah, it's my fault. I was too ambitious, or like just didn't think straight enough, and they should just not have been moved when we were both in that state. And we learned something the hard way that day. But yeah, we're gonna get the vet to check it out. We're getting firewood, dry firewood now. I don't think this month can get much worse. I don't, yeah. It's kind of impossible to get any worse. And we just have to really adjust our ideas and our plans, so we get over this intense feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah, I think we came here with all these big ideas, and I always saw them as like a 10-year project. Like we could never get any of it done faster than that, and it can only really all come together at the same time because everything's so interconnected. But this month has just knocked everything off course so much that we can't make progress anymore right now. And we just have to reevaluate and make more realistic short-term goals. And during the next year, pretty much just forget about all the other stuff, except building our house, making enough money to live well, making sure our animals have a good life, and yeah, like planting out these big bountiful gardens and reforesting a hectare of land. It's something that we've already started on, but
right now it's too much.
Yeah. We just have to give up on that other stuff, basically.
Yeah, we'll try again. Like when we feel ready for it, we'll just go again for these plans.